Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling, episode 78, RetroMania Wrestling. In the studio with me today is Stretton the Savage. What's up, Stretton?
I went shirt shopping.
You did a piss poor job. And with us via phone from Philadelphia is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who's putting together a video game that you are all going to buy, which is coming out, springtime, right? Is that projected date?
Yes.
Okay. For the Nintendo Switch.
Quarter next year.
First quarter next year, we got for the Nintendo Switch has been announced, the Xbox, and I believe Steam as well, right?
Correct.
All right. Mike Hermann of RetroSoft Studios. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Woo! Yeah!
Well.
Yeah, Mike! You the fucking man! Yeah, we're ready to rock. I've been super pumped to have this episode with you. Ever since I came across your game, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, dude, like somebody's got to promote this dude and like talk to him, and what you're doing is super cool. So for all you out there listening who don't know what RetroMania Wrestling is, it is essentially the spiritual successor to an old school WWF arcade game that we grew up on and loved called WrestleFest. And Mike, at this point, I'm gonna let you take it away and kind of give the people out there what we like to call the JP Woo, the 411.
All right. So you summed it up perfectly. We're kind of a spiritual successor. If you look at any of our videos, it'll feel very familiar by looking at the graphical style that we're using in the game. But we really, what I grew up playing and what you guys grew up playing, a 2D arcade style wrestling game, aren't really made anymore. We only really have, and as wrestling fans and as video gamers, we only have two choices right now to play on all the major consoles, and that's Fire Pro and the WWE 2K game. And there isn't really that 2D arcade style game. Fire Pro's a little closer, but I would say it's more of a simulation. And it's just, I wanted to bring back that real fun 2D. You know, you see those big characters when you go into the arcade when you were a kid that jumped out at you.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to recreate. And I played a ton of that original game, and I wanted to update that and add some stuff that wasn't in that game, and change up the gameplay a little bit, keeping that kind of same feel that the original had.
Yeah, and from all the screenshots, everything I've seen, you've been able to pull that off. I'm super fucking stoked. The way that I've explained it to a couple of friends, and this is me having, no intimate knowledge of the game, like as far as like gameplay or anything, just what I've seen and kind of forming my own opinion on it. But it kind of reminds me of like almost like a Fire Pro Wrestling meets like WrestleFest, That's
that's a good summary of it.
Can you elaborate a little bit on some of like the game modes, and are we going to see titles and stuff?
Absolutely. One of my big things, and I've seen this comment a bunch, so I'm not the only one out there. I thought I might be the only crazy one, but just something about somebody wearing a championship belt to the ring. Mm-hmm. Coming out and wearing their championship. And, in the 2D game, I don't know if anybody's done that. I think the 3D games do it, but just, we're going to see championship belts. Nice. We have the House of Hardcore title. We have a couple other titles that we haven't announced yet that we will in the next probably, maybe 3-4 weeks. But yeah, there's going to be titles involved as far as game modes. We're going to have obviously tag team and, our retro rumble, as we call it.
Nice.
Copyright pending. And then and then we're also going to do singles matches, 6-man, 8-man tag matches, cage matches, and then that's the basic stuff. And then we want to see what else we can squeeze in as much as we can before launch, and then whatever we can get to post launch, assuming we get a little bit of success and we get some people interested in the game. In today's day and age, the good thing about modern video games, even if you're making a retro style game, is just because you launch the game doesn't mean you can't update it, right? So exactly. This is really a passion for me, a passion project, and it's stuff I want to play, and I want to jam as much good wrestling stuff in this as we can.
Hell yeah. You better fix that tornado DDT then, son.
yeah, that's one of the things we're working on today.
Let me ask you this, Mike. So you're talking about Tommy Dreamer, and we'll get to the roster here in a minute, but House of Hardcore, there's got to be weapons in this game, right?
Yeah, so far we've only shown chair shots, but we will get to other weapons, definitely. It's kind of a requirement we say we're using the House of Hardcore brand, right?
Yeah. And another thing, I mean, you guys have a pretty damn diverse roster from what you've revealed. Just off the top of my head, for you guys out there listening, they got the entire Blue World Order, the BWO. So you got Hollywood Nova,
Yeah.
you got the Blue Meanie, and you got Stevie Richards. You also have Austin Idol, which threw me for a loop. I'm like, dude, that's so fucking cool. For people who are unaware of who Austin Idol is, Google him. He was a huge star in like the late 70s.
Idolmania.
Yeah, Idolmania was running wild. You know, Hogan took a little bit from Austin Idol. Come on, we all know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Sabre Jr., who is a super hot commodity right now out on, I guess, I don't know if you want to call New Japan. You know, they're not really an indie, but you know what I mean? Zack Sabre's a big name right now. You have Tommy Dreamer. You got the fucking Road Warriors, dude. That's Hawk and Animal. That is so cool. And we were talking the other day, you know, you're like, how can you like do a game like this and not have those guys, you know?
Right.
Hawk and Animal.
They're the boss in the original game.
Yeah.
And every other kind of wrestling game in that came out in the 80s, like in the arcade 2D games like Matt Maney, all ripped off Animal.
Yeah.
You know, you had that Mohawk guy that was that's Animal. Everybody thought, that's from one of the Road Warriors, you know?
Oh, they had to back in the day. I remember, well, shit, this, we all know about like the generic rip-off action figures. You go to like a dollar store and they have basically like the hollowed out He-Man build bodies. But if you remember when I was a little kid, I think I was like fucking, I don't know how I remember this either. I was probably around 6 years old, 7 years old. I had the old AWA figures of the Road Warriors. You remember those?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they had almost like I had those. I had like the Rambo figures from when they had the cartoon.
I had the Rambo figures.
Yeah. It was the same thing that, you know, the hard bodies that you could only turn the waist and the arms moved up and down, but then they had like the soft rubber heads. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, those were awesome. I mean, you would take anything you could and wrestle with them, you know. Growing up and you were into wrestling. Now, I remember that's what I used my G.I. Joes for primarily, was this wrestling. Because you could articulate all the movements and you actually do moves with them.
Yeah, dude. I
built a little ring out of wood and rubber bands and nails.
Is it made of wood? That was a Full House joke. Dude, I was a weird kid with my action figures. I had a shit. I don't know how like involved you are in like comic books or anything, but when I was a kid, dude, I mean, I had all the Marvel X-Men line from Toy Biz and, you know, Spider-Man, all that shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a big guy at the '90s X-Men animated show.
Oh,
I was
dude,
huge into that.
I absolutely.
And actually, as a side note, I was at my brother's yesterday actually, and my parents had given him this sign I had. It's like a 18-foot sign that was a giveaway. You know, Pizza Hut was giving away like the VHS tape.
Oh, I remember those. I still have one. Yeah,
back in the '90s.
Yeah.
So I've acquired, I will say, this huge when I was a kid. This sign from Pizza Hut, and it's probably, I think it's like 18 feet long by about 4 feet wide, and it's Cyclops and the X-Men logo. So now it's going to be hung in my basement.
Oh yeah, you hamburgered that motherfucker, didn't you?
I'm not gonna.
It's all right.
I'm not gonna say how it was acquired.
I acquired a giant Darth Vader off the top of a Burger King out where we're from when
statute of limitations and all that stuff is already passed, so you guys are good to go. Brag about your theft or thievery.
Yeah, you know what we say, fuck them. That's awesome, dude. I totally remember that. I remember Pizza Hut, dude, back in the day doing the shit with the Ninja Turtles, the movie, and they'd come out with that the tape too, the "We're the Turtles." It was so cheesy and so horrible. It was really bad.
But not as bad as the sequel with Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. By
Ninja, rap. Yeah. I made a funny. Oh, good times, man. Good times for sure. But getting back into the game. So, like I said, you guys just made as of this recording, this is being recorded the very last day of September. This episode is actually airing on October 2nd. For those of you out there listening, you guys just dropped, Retrosoft Studios just dropped a huge bombshell. I think it's a fucking bombshell. especially because this guy's been in the news as of late. John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, whatever you want to call him, but you guys are gonna call him Johnny Retro, which is so fucking cool.
Yep.
Let me get a Shao Kahn on that.
I forgot which one.
Never mind, Sretton, you fucking dog.
I messed up. Which one?
Excellent.
Okay. Go ahead. Pitch it again.
Never mind.
Take two.
But yeah,
Take
you guys announced John Morrison, aka Johnny Retro, as
excellent.
Yeah, there we go. As the next reveal on your roster, and not only that, he's essentially that's what your story mode is based around, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we just thought, we got in contact with him via Tommy Dreamer when they're friends, and they work together at Impact. And when once we signed Tommy, we had interest in Johnny, and Tommy got us in touch with him. We talked through everything, and he at the time he wasn't sure what he was doing. And he, we didn't know anything. We had no idea, where he was going to end up, if he was even going to be wrestling again. But I always liked watching him. I was a big fan of his. I watched Glow. He was on a couple episodes of Glow.
Yeah, Glow's great.
My son's a huge Survivor fan. And
like Eye of the Tiger?
No.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you mean. Sorry about
Burning Heart. No, Burning Heart. He liked that song better. But no. The CBS show Survivor with Jeff Probst.
Mm-hmm.
And John was on that 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
And he's not super into wrestling, but when I told him we signed the Bertaccio, that's what he was called on Survivor. He was all into that. But he was a good fit, and just the way he one of the unique things about him and his persona in wrestling is he's one of the few guys that can take it with him wherever he goes. And just by saying Johnny and changing wrestling, everybody knows who he is. He has instant recognition, he's recognized instantly.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who he is. And we thought, what would be better than Johnny Retro?
Oh yeah.
And and he was totally into it. And so we decided, what, he would make a great person to revolve the story around. And so that's what we did.
Fuck yeah! I let you know.
And we're so psyched, and I think everyone was blown away every time, especially due to the news where he is allegedly signing or signed or whatever you want to say.
Let me ask you about
earlier.
Yeah, let me ask you about that real quick, Mike. Does that kind of worry you guys in a way because the big bad E, as I like to call him?
No.
I mean, they can't really do anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were signed before he signed anything. Like we signed our contract with him. We've been sitting on this for months.
Doesn't that suck if you got something that big and you want to fucking tell everybody, and it's like,
right.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it's tough not to say that. But it wasn't necessarily, the only reason we weren't announcing it was we had kind of strategically lined it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, we might have moved him up a little bit in the order because he's going to be in the media a little more with this whole, now that he is coming back. But, we're not worried at all. Like, it was signed, like, I don't know, I want to say 3 months ago, if not more, that we signed him. So before he was even talking to anybody else.
Nice.
So, and if you remember the old Legends of Wrestling games, they had a lot of guys in there that ended up being signed.
I have both of them.
Hogan was signed by the WWE after he was on the cover of that.
Yeah.
And then the game came out. So there's precedence been set, and plus our contract stated before, just the way contracts work. We aren't under any concern with it legally or any other way. So it's all good.
Fuck yeah. Glad to hear that.
I did.
Yeah. So we're super excited to have him in the game.
Oh, I think it's really cool. And it's weird because I finally, probably as of 20 minutes ago, just really, I was always weird about his name. Like it's, I know his real name, John Hennigan.
Right.
He's Johnny everywhere he's been. He was Johnny Nitro, all that shit. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, why don't I really took to him. I like the John Morrison thing because I'm a huge Doors fan. So when they did that in WWE, I was like, well, it makes sense. It's cool. And then when he left, I think he really recreated himself and made a name for himself with one of our favorite promotions in Lucha, in Lucha Underground. As did a lot of top tier talent that's out there now, whether it be Impact or WWE or AEW. I don't think Lucha gets enough credit like it should. But the name thing, it always just kind of bothered me. And then like thinking about today, as soon as I saw Johnny Retro, I was like, that's so fucking cool. Like when I was in high school, we had this thing we always called people who were like kind of strokes, you know, like oh, look at this Johnny Rock over there, you know, like he's a guy that's in the Blink 182 and Good Charlotte or something, you know, or whatever it was. It was always Johnny something. Yeah, Johnny. This guy's, you know, always pounding booze. He's drunk away, so like Johnny Alcoholic or whatever. It was always Johnny something. So it took that long for it to click. Like I saw Johnny Retro, I'm just saying, oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
After he's been doing the Johnny shtick for years.
Yeah. He was all into it. You know, like he loved it. He's a great guy too.
Yeah, he seems really cool.
You know, I've dealt with. Yeah, I mean, I've only talked to him a handful of times, but very nice, very down to earth, great guy to talk to. Was totally on board with the whole game and what we were doing. So couldn't have been happier in dealing with him.
So let me ask you this: how did this like thought like come about? Other than like obviously, I mean, you were sitting there. Like, were you involved other than was RetroSoft Studios a thing beforehand, before RetroMania, or is it all like currently just based around that and then going forward, you know, try different stuff?
Yeah. So basically RetroSoft Studios came about because of RetroMania that I wanted to do the game. So I'll give you the kind of the back end story of this whole thing. I would say about, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, I got in my,
yeah, you got it. Excellent.
So yeah, about 7 or 8 years ago, I kind of got the idea that, you know what, I'm sick of waiting for a 2D wrestling game to come out.
Yeah.
And that don't get me wrong, I like Fire Pro a lot, and I've been playing Fire Pro since 16 Scramble on the Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bought 6 controllers, had the tap for the Saturn for Fire. I was downloading character sheets to create them. Yeah, you know, I'm into it. Like, I still play it.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I liked WrestleFest more. Like the first main, when I downloaded and discovered Maine back in like 1999 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
When I first discovered it, the first ROM I tried to find was WrestleFest, and then I didn't think Maine emulated it at that point. I had to use a different emulator called Rain and emulate it that way. So that was based on those systems. But anyway, I was just super into WrestleFest. I loved WWF Superstars, and then I could play as like the Mega Bucks if you just codes in Maine. Yeah. You know, and then you could play as Andre and DiBiase, and then you could play as Road Warriors and WrestleFest, use the codes. So, you know, I was so into that, and I was just thinking, why doesn't anyone make this again? Why doesn't the WWE, and they would have been still WWF at the time. Yeah. No, they were WWE 7 years ago, but why don't they make another game like this? It would be awesome. Like, and I liked All Stars. That was kind of almost too over the top.
To me, that was like, I played the hell out of that. I loved it because I'm a huge Hogan NWO mark. So when that was the first game, I think, where Hogan actually came out and ripped the shirt.
Right.
I mean, as minute or whatever as that sounds, I thought that was like their NBA Jam. You know what I mean? But it was there wasn't enough content to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I did like it, but I didn't necessarily want the flips and like the ridiculousness of it, which, you know, not that I didn't want it. I liked it as another alternative wrestling game. I think the more variety, the better. Yeah. But I was still,
that shit gets played out though.
Craving. Yeah, I was still craving my WrestleFest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided 7 years ago I'm going to start doing this as a hobby, and just do it myself. So I was schooled. I'm a software engineer, so I have background in software development. My other company that I co-own is a finance and accounting software company. So that's how we develop the software. We sell off-the-shelf software. We do modifications, integration, stuff like that. I won't bore you with those details. But anyway, my background is in software engineering. That was my point. So I was like, I know enough where I could start developing this game in my spare time. So I'd work on it for like maybe a couple weeks, and I'd put it down for a couple months, And I'm married, have kids. There's free time is at a premium. And when I wasn't, I'm not, when you just don't have the time, it didn't go anywhere. So fast forward, If you want to do the doodle, you can do the doodle.
Thanks.
So we go to about 2 years ago, and that's when I decided to get serious on this. I'm going to hire a programmer, lead programmer, and we're going to start building this, and he's going to keep working on it when I don't have time, and we're going to move it forward. So then I formed something. I'm going to start paying people to help me do this. I formed the company, and then we just started doing it full time now. There's 17 people working on the game.
That's great. And here's my thing and my theory and take on this, as it kind of correlates with, are you familiar with Super 7? The action figure line?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
They do it, like, I got all their Misfits figures, and they do like some really cool shit, like with music and horror and stuff. But it grew because it's a similar idea, just in a different medium. It was that retro style of action figure, like basically the old 70s Star Wars, you know? And,
right.
And then they just start cranking out these licenses, man. Like, and next thing you know, these guys are like blowing up. And I kind of feel like that's like this game kind of gives me that vibe, and like what you're doing could be something like maybe that could be your niche, you know? Because here's the thing, WrestleFest was just one of a plethora of great fucking arcade games like that we grew up on, you know? And I'm not just talking about like fighters like Mortal Kombat and all that shit, all that bullshit aside. I mean, you know, when I would go to the arcades around here as a kid, I was jumping at the bit to play X-Men. Or, you know, The Simpsons.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, dude, the Spider-Man one, which was really good.
Yep.
There was an Avengers one that was kick-ass.
Captain America, yeah.
Yes. There was so much good shit. And Aliens vs. Predator, or I think, it was Aliens vs. Predator. And that's like a hard one to find. I mean, obviously you guys go out there, get those ROMs, you can find them. But something similar to that vein, man, like it just came across in my brain. Like, if that's something like that you like doing, I mean, maybe there's a niche for you to do.
There definitely is a niche
because here's the thing, all that retro shit is just it's gonna fly off. I think this game's gonna do really well, man. Shit's gonna fly off the shelf.
To God's ears.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually surprised that there were a handful of 2D games that were on Steam and Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just surprised nobody did a pure wrestling one. I was just telling Wallace before we started recording, a couple years ago, there was a 2D scroller, and I can't remember the name of it. It's something Bros. You're probably familiar with it, but they pretty much took a lot of the 80s action movie stars or their characters and put it in a 2D scroller, kind of like the old school Contra.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool because every month you'd hear like so-and-so was added. So, I don't know, like a year ago, RoboCop was added. But they had like a guy that looked like Stallone, guy that looked like Rocky, Rambo, Terminator, and it's a scroller, and it taps into that retro vibe and nostalgia, and it's also really cool. Like when you see all the screenshots you guys have on your social media, you guys have tapped into that nostalgia thing, and it's really fun to play those games.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree with you, and it's just like a game is similar to what you're talking about, The Messenger. That was kind of like a Ninja Gaiden type game, came out a couple months ago, or maybe it might be longer than a year ago now. But I played that too, and it's that similar type of thing that it's part of its nostalgia, but I think it still holds up because I've had my kids playing this game, and we have a machine in our house, and they love playing these old school games.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's something to be said about being able to pick something up, play it. You kind of learn the controls within a few minutes. You don't need to go through a huge tutorial or anything to figure it out. And you're playing, and you're up and running. Yeah. You know?
But it's still challenging.
There's still definitely a market for that. Yeah, exactly.
I plugged in my Nintendo Mini last night with my girlfriend, and we're playing. I'm just like, fucking gee, I'm getting my ass handed to me. You know, I get the Punch Out, and I think who's the guy? Bald Bull. he was as far as I could get to. Back in the day, though, I used to be
first time or second time.
First.
The first Bald Bull or the second time?
The first one. That's how out of practice I am. I'm like, my timing's down, and I get so nervous. You know, like
right.
So I'm like, my timing's all fucked up. I'm trying to fucking.
That's one of my favorite games of all time.
Punch-Out! It's
That is
great.
such a great game.
I just saw there's a game coming out. I saw in the Xbox store. It's an ID game. It's kind of got that vibe to it. It's all black and white, and it's like a duck, but he's like a boxer, and it's got the Punch-Out vibe to it. But then there shows like, you know, he's actually moving through a level, but it's in that Punch-Out, you know, view, and he's like punching at different obstacles or whatever the hell's coming at him. I mean, it's probably not really a great game, but I liked, if it would have stuck to the like, hey, this is straight up just a rip off of Punch-Out, I'd have been cool with it, you know, like.
Right.
That nostalgia thing, though, man, it hits everybody. It's huge. I think more so now with like our generation, like the 80s and 90s kids, really than anything.
Right.
Look at everything now that's being marketed. It's all 80s shit. American Horror Story, 1984. You know, like, come on, dude.
Right. Like, my kids were really, and I liked it too. That show, Stranger Things.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
which is all based in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, and people are now. My son's like, "Oh, can we listen to 80s music?"
Right.
I'm like, sure.
Yeah, sure. As long as it's not Striper.
Dare you?
Or Whitesnake. That's all right. If you like those guys, Mike, I'm sorry.
No, I'm all right with that comment.
What kind of music do you rock out to, man?
I listen to everything. I mean, I really do. I'm not huge into country.
No one is.
I do like Johnny Cash a little bit.
Okay.
But I listen to, you know, a lot of hard rock, 90s rap.
Oh yeah, you getting that old school gangster stuff? Like Easy?
Yeah, I like all that. Even before that, like Side Club Quest.
Yeah. Ghetto Boys?
Yeah, Ghetto Boys. But I listen, and then some of my favorite playlists are just like, hey Siri, play 80s music, or hey Siri, play. I like 70s hard rock.
Yes.
You just triggered 100,000 cell phones.
Yeah, right. For sure.
But I have pretty varied tastes.
I like that.
In music.
You gotta be diverse, except for country. Country.
I'll tell you, I just started like the other day. I just said, let me listen. I did a 70s hard rock playlist, and there's some songs I'd never heard, and I'm like, wow, this is. I wish I would have listened to this before. It's something I never. I knew about mainstream stuff, like Sabbath and stuff like that, but some of the more obscure stuff that came out was pretty good.
Oh yeah, you gotta check out.
Yeah, there's so much music out there that you just don't know about.
Oh right, for sure. You gotta check out this band called Buffalo, dude. Volcanic Rock.
All right.
Dude, they were like the 70s. They used to tour with AC/DC back then, and they were like too heavy and too much of a bunch of party boys for AC/DC back then. We're talking about a band where its lead singer drank himself to death. Like,
right.
And Buffalo's like, what? They were like, hey, mate, we can't do it. But dude, their album Volcanic Rock, it's a weird album cover. It's like this dude who is has no genitals, but he's like standing holding a giant penis-shaped thing. I don't make any sense of it. It's a cool fucking album cover. It's just really fucking weird. No one really knows about these guys, but I'm telling you, man, dude, they hit so hard. They're so good. And I was like, man, if a band like Soundgarden wasn't listening to these guys, then, something's up, because I could totally hear where Soundgarden pulled some shit from these guys, but no one knows who these dudes are, Like, if you go talk, you ever heard of Buffalo? Like, who?
Well, my one buddy has a theory that if you're a rock band, you haven't really made it till one of your members dies.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, at least, yeah.
It sucks, but
especially in the 90s, man, like that grunge scene and all that, they all gone. Getting back to your game though, so we're looking at you said like a first quarter release, right?
Yeah.
You guys,
that's the target.
And here's one thing, you guys didn't go through any, and this is kind of interesting to me because I've seen it a lot with a lot of independent companies, especially who was it, Ilphonic, like for example, that did Friday the 13th. No crowdfunding or anything like that, right? You guys?
No, it's all I don't. We've definitely toyed around with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So, throwing that idea around just for the publicity's sake, because sometimes if just having a Kickstarter will get picked up.
Yeah.
by podcasts in the community. People follow that. There'll be news sections in various places. But I don't. If I don't need it, I don't really want to use it. I'm taking a risk in funding it, and but I really believe in the game, and I don't think it's a huge risk based on the feedback we've got.
Right.
And so, and I didn't want to be really doing a Kickstarter properly is a project in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially, you hear a lot of horror stories where people don't deliver at all or don't deliver on time, and then they don't think about their bonuses, and that costs too much, and they're giving away T-shirts. They didn't realize they'd have to pay for the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's probably an extreme example, but basically costs getting out of hand on just the Kickstarter goals or rewards. I mean.
And then I kind of had an instance, not to cut you off, but real quick, I had a instance with that a few years ago. Are you familiar? You know who Alex Winter is, right?
The name is very familiar.
He played Bill in Bill and Ted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was also wasn't he in the Lost Boys too? Yeah.
He was in Lost Boys. He's done some documentaries, like what was it? Something about the dark web. He's done some shit. Well, he's working on a Frank Zappa documentary, and so a couple years ago when he started doing that, I'm like a huge Zappa fan, so I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll sign on and do whatever. And I bought a record off of him. What was this? It was over a year before I got this record, and it pissed me off because I knew it was like, it's one that's, I could have just went to the damn store and bought it, but I'm trying to support their cause because he was saving like Zappa's audio library, and they're restoring and transferring all this shit out of this vast vault that he had, and I just that just kind of sparked a memory from that when you're talking about like the cons, so to speak, of the Kickstarter stuff, because that really pissed me off.
I mean, you can definitely, there's a lot of success stories out there who have done it right, but it's just something. I guess my only point is there's a lot of thought and effort that needs put into just doing one. Yeah. And we're so hyper focused on just making a fun video game to play that people want to buy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't really want to detract, unless we really had to. I don't really want to detract from that effort and all the resources being just focused on making a great game and making a fun game that hopefully, becomes this entity that we can support for, years to come,
And that's great too. I love stuff like that. Like imagine so you guys drop this game and it becomes successful enough to where you're just constantly like giving it DLC and updates. That's the one thing that I think is lacking, and a lot of gamers will attach themselves to, because say, for instance, perfect example, I don't want to fucking buy WWE 2K20. I don't want to buy NBA 2K20. I don't want to buy NHL 19 or 20. It's the same fucking game pretty much every time it comes out, and there really is no improvements on these games.
It's the biggest criticism of the Madden games.
Yeah, same thing. Like
same thing every year.
So put out those games on that scale, and then provide it with DLC content, like as far as rosters and whatever, and then just every couple years you make a new game.
Right.
Like if you guys did something like that, I'm just like immediately sitting here getting myself hyped up. I'm like, oh my god, he's getting me wet.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's it's a blessing and a curse to be able to update them, but that's the one thing. At the end of the day, as of right now, at least, I'm the final say in everything. So, I would just want to. We're focused on making a fun game, and then hopefully we can expand it. Because the one knock, not with the one knock. There's basically two major knocks we get on the boards, and usually it's 99% positive everywhere I look. But it's human nature to focus on the 1% negative. Yeah. But the two questions we always get is: there going to be a CAW, Create a Wrestler, and why is the roster so small? And
that's when you should answer back like, make your own game, asshole.
No, I know, but that's the passive aggressive way. And I'm very tempted. Don't get me wrong, but it's about people are sitting there seeing like the one message I got was WWE's game has 200 playable wrestlers. Yeah. I go, okay, well, how much are they spending to make that game? We're not 2K. Yeah,
exactly. 2K. Who am I? We're RetroSoft Studios. We're not 2K.
Right.
You're not, it's not like you're WWE. What the fuck?
Right.
Dumbass
But once
people.
we, it's a still, I get it though. People want as much as they want, but we're really trying to focus on making our characters really diverse, unique, a very eclectic roster that we're putting together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we may be starting out small, but if we can prove to people that we're making a good game, people will buy it, and then we can reinvest that money and build off of that base.
I like that.
And really turn this into a franchise.
That's I think, and that carries over in a lot of different mediums. I believe it's kind of a lost art nowadays. Everybody's just like, give me. I need some more. Shout out to Black Flag. They just want it all right now. Give it to, and if you can't provide it, they're just so ignorant to the fact because they're not getting it. They're gonna immediately either dog you or just be negative about it when you don't. My thing is never judge anything unless you know some facts and at least can have some sort of understanding. Like who they just
but
go ahead.
I'll say that's only like 1%. I'll tell you, we've gotten such positive feedback. I mean, 99% of everything we post is positive feedback.
Oh yeah.
And we've gotten some good, and even the criticism we've got has been well worded and, hey, have you thought about doing this and you thought about doing that? And it's been good criticism, stuff that's the reason we're kind of trying to be transparent through our development process is to get that feedback from the community who are our potential customers, and what do they want to see? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Just based on the videos and screenshots that we've been selling.
Oh yeah. And a lot of the reposting and sharing I've been doing just leading up to this episode and beforehand, it's like the same thing. It wasn't I wouldn't even call it like criticisms. It's just like the curiosity. Like, oh, when's, is this going to make it to PlayStation? That's the big one, the main one right now.
That's the big one right now.
Yeah. But a lot of guys there they have seen it. Shout out to our associate Bruiser Bodie up in Wisconsin. He's like, man, I'm really digging on this game. Can't wait. Like, I need to know like what modes, is it going to be titles, like all this stuff, like, yeah, we'll hammer it out. We'll hash it out. But, it's pretty much been it's been well received. Like people just when they comment, when I share your guys' stuff, it's just like, oh wow, like is this a thing? Like when's this coming out? It's been nothing negative so far, and that's really really cool. I think you guys got something really special on your hands, and I love the way you're handling it. I think it's cool, and it's kind of old school, like. Fucking do it. Build up your community, like give the people what they want and do it within your means. And I think once the product, comes out and it is what it is and people can recognize that it's a good, piece of product that your heart and soul have been poured into, then, hey, as Mudhoney used to say, the money will roll right in.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's one of the hardest parts that I'm having to deal with is I want to do so much with it.
Yeah.
And luckily my lead programmer is like, scope creep. You want to do too much. Let's get the game done first.
Yeah.
And then we can add on to it. Let's stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
But you got them creative juices flowing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like there's all these things like. Wouldn't it be cool if we did this, or wouldn't it be cool if we did that? And the answer is always, yeah, it would be, but then we got to wait to do, these other 3 things that we had already planned to do that are also cool, but one of the things, one of the guys working with me, Mike Archer, who used to work for WWE and used to work for Acclaim Entertainment. So he had a hand in a bunch of games, but some of which were the Legends of Wrestling games.
Yeah,
and a couple other things.
I want to get to talking about those here in a minute too.
Yeah, but when we first met, he's like, and so he had some time. He knows a lot of the guys, a lot of the wrestling community. So it's like, all right, who are your big targets? Who's your must-have? Who's your wants? We'll figure out if they're under an agreement with somebody. Blah blah blah. And we're sitting there, we're having lunch, and I just keep rambling off names, and he's like, "You want all these guys?" It's like. Well, yeah, I do, and it's tough to whittle that list down, and it's a combination of things of, who's available, who can we afford, who's not under contract with anybody else, and so we kind of got it, who's easy to deal with, and it's a combination of things, and it's let's get some, different looking guys, different looks, different time periods in the game, and then just you can tell from our roster that we've announced so far, nobody's off limits. You know what I mean? We're getting from Austin Idol in the 70s to Sabre Jr. Which is probably two of the most different styles you can have. Yep. And then everything in between. And that's really one of the reasons we're going with this roster is, one, I like all the guys we're getting. So it's some personal favorites of mine. But it's to show that, like, you know, nobody's off limits. We're willing to, you know, if you're part of the wrestling world, and we can get you and we can make a mutually agreed upon deal with you, we'd love to have you in the game, you know?
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's going to make for a good segue here. But real quick, so I know you probably don't have any, like, kind of price points of what you guys are looking at releasing the game for, right?
No, we do.
What are you looking at, like $40?
No, so we're going to be under 30. We haven't set the price yet, but it's going to be less than 30. Now, whether that's $29.99, $19.99, $24.99,
right?
We're still doing market research on what the best way to do to maximize, you know, sales and all that. But it's definitely going to be under 30.
Sweet. I like that. It's a good price. The other thing I
think somewhere between 20 and 30 is our sweet spot. You know.
Hell yeah. And then once you prove yourselves, you know, sky's the limit.
Then we can start milking people for 60, right?
Yeah. Got Ted DiBiase in your corner. Everybody's got a price. So, Mike, I kind of want to get into
$1 Million Man edition.
Yeah. You're obviously a huge fucking wrestling fan, or you wouldn't be doing this game. Where did it all really start for you, man?
So I would say the first experience I had was actually watching NWA.
Hell yeah.
Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yeah.
I'm from Philadelphia. It was on Channel 17 at 1 o'clock when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, the kids down the street turned me on to wrestling, and I did watch WWF first at their house. And then I don't know, I think I must have been like 8 years old, and I either wasn't a smart 8-year-old, but I didn't really realize that 11 o'clock one wrestling show was on, and at 1 o'clock another wrestling show was on. I thought it was all the same thing. Yeah. They were all like, "Oh, did you see the Junkyard Dog today?" I'm like, "Who the hell's the Junkyard Dog?"
Yeah,
I saw the Rock and Roll Express, and I saw the Russians, and I saw Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA.
Nice.
I didn't see who's Junkyard Dog, Tito Santana, Greg the Hammer Valentine. I don't know who you're talking about. So, but eventually I figured it out and started watching them both. And it just kind of grew from there, from, wrestling with a pillow, breaking my parents' bed from doing a power slam on it. Wrestling with my cousin, almost breaking his neck, and he was trying to reverse a vertical suplex and land on top of me, and his head got caught. Luckily, we were really young and couldn't hurt ourselves.
Yeah, that was before the time of "Don't try this at home."
Right.
Bodies have been broken.
I just started watching it, and then sneaking out of bed at night to watch Saturday Night's Main Event. My parents would let me stay up that late.
That's awesome.
And I just loved it. I just really, I loved all that. And unfortunately, we didn't have cable, so I couldn't see like prime time wrestling unless we were visiting my cousin's house, and then we could watch that. And I never really got pay-per-views until they came out on VHS.
I remember those days.
But I always loved it. I watched it up through pretty much college, right when NWO started, and then I started working after that, and I didn't watch it as much just because life got in the way, and they became 3-hour shows twice a week, which I still think is too much.
Yeah, for sure. At least
you have a lot of other stuff you're into. Yeah, and if you have a lot of other stuff you're into, it's hard to have 10 hours of your week watching stuff. I prefer the 1 hour stuff. I still like Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Ring of Honor's good. They're kind of getting shit on now.
I like the TV.
What's that?
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know what direction the company's going. I only know what I read online, like everybody else, and you hear certain things. But
they're kind of going through that rough patch now. I don't know how familiar you were with all the hate that TNA was getting for the last, God knows, like 6 years or something.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
And now that they've kind of righted the ship, ROH is kind of getting that now. And here's the thing: I still think they're doing good. They're working with what they got and what they can get.
Right.
I still think they're putting on a great product. But it's the man. Sometimes, like, we were talking the other day. I think the fans are like the worst enemy sometimes of the wrestling business. Because they'll just shit on something. And to me, it seems like a lot of the reason they're shitting on ROH is because the Bucks and Cody and everybody left, and they're doing AEW. Right. So but then again, they're shitting on AEW for certain reasons. It's like you can't make people happy sometimes, So it's a very hard pill to swallow.
That's like the society we live in.
Yeah. It's super lame. Like we try to be as positive as we can with this show. Like I'm not a huge WWE guy right now, but that could change. All they got to do is put on some
Bray
good
Wyatt
programming.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt stuff is pretty damn. It's pretty damn awesome. Bodie's a big fan of that shit, man. Wow, it's but we've seen what they've done with him before, so I could be negative like that and be like, well, they've shit on him before and killed his gimmick, and it's gonna happen again. No, I'm always a glass is half full guy till it's not. And then when it's not, I'm like, jams. But there's so much out there now, and like how you're talking about, 3-hour shows too much, and I totally agree with that. But man, I've been saying this since we started a little over a year ago. It's the way wrestling is going now. It's way too much content, and the thing is, there's a lot of really good shit. So, like, you almost have to be like some of these gamers, like the super nerds who, like, when I buy Mortal Kombat 11, I better get on there and fucking do my live matches right then and there when it came out, because people kind of suck at the time. Even though I've been playing MK since its inception, there are these kids that, like, you give them a week, and all of a sudden you ain't going to be able to get a hit off. They knew every combo. Right. It's like, what do you do with your life? Like, I don't get it. I'm not trying to hate, but it's like, come on, let an old man win, a time or two.
No, I hear you, but I mean, the one thing now, Mortal Kombat, the controls are more or less the same.
Yes.
But still a little more advanced. But I was playing the Spider-Man game that came out for the PS4.
Okay, yeah.
I loved Spider-Man for the Sega Genesis. It's like one of my all-time favorite games.
Which are you talking about, the animated series?
No. This is like it was for the Sega Genesis. It was just at Spider-Man. It wasn't the Sinister Six or an animated.
Oh, I remember that. I had that for Nintendo.
It was like it came out in the early '90s, but I love that game. So, and the new Spider-Man looked awesome. So my son played probably like 100% of it in like 2 weeks or whatever. Played all the time, So he's like, Dad, you gotta try it. So I'm like, all right, we'll sit down Friday night. He had to teach me how to play because of, it uses every button on the controller, which is fine, but not when you put the game down for a week and then come back to it. Now I don't remember what anything does, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things. I don't think the games, we're getting a little bit old. Like, I don't think the games are too complicated now. It's just we don't have as much free time as we did when we were younger to play them as much. You know what I mean?
But we got the money to buy them now. But here's the problem: we buy them and they just fucking sit on the shelf. You get a little bit.
I know.
I bought, dude. I had to cut myself back because, even at the tail end of like 360, at that time I was buying so many games, even digitally. If you look at my Xbox digital library, I think it's like 200 games, something ridiculous.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I still tried to shop smart. A game would come out. Well, not really back then. I always look for the deals, but not like I do now. Like, say, Mortal Kombat's one of those games, when it drops, I got to have it, But there's other games that, hey, like Call of Duty. I'm a big Call of Duty guy. This new one comes out, I'm going to give it a couple months because at like some point, whether it's a holiday or whatever, it's going to be fucking $20 cheaper. And you may not really like this game, It's like I'm so guilty of just buying games for the fuck of just like, it's this weird thing. I think it's like the control that the marketing has over you and just the love you have as a gamer. So you see something cool and you're just like, well, oh yeah, I got money in the bank. This is a good deal. I'm going to fucking buy it right now.
I got to have it.
And then I'll put it fucking down and never play it again.
So one of the things we're working on for our game is having it fit in a cabinet. Like we're building a little cabinet that we can tour with. So are you familiar with your arcade one-up?
Don't threaten me with a good time, brother.
So you know the arcade one-ups that have been pretty popular.
I need the MK2 one too, and there's a Final Fight one too. Fuck.
Yeah. They just came out with a Turtles one.
Yeah, the Turtles one is so dope.
God. So Stevie Richards actually is in the game. Is you wouldn't know it, but it's like a super tech head.
Really?
And so we were talking, and he's like, yeah. One of the things I want to do is mod an arcade one-up with like a RetroPie and put that in.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I go, well,
my buddy does those.
How about RetroSoft sponsors you, because he has a whole series of YouTube stuff. He spans from fitness to geek stuff to wrestling to everything. It's a pretty cool channel. Stevie's channel is on YouTube, and so we've been talking about it. So now we're working with I think Game Room Solutions. We're gonna work with, who does these arcade kits, and they do a 3/4 size, same size as the arcade one-up, or very close.
Right.
Similar. So we're gonna make a RetroMania arcade cabinet, and we're gonna probably put a PC in it, not a RetroPie, so it can play RetroMania, and then use like LaunchBox or Hyperspin or one of those to put on it as well. But have an arcade machine for RetroMania. So we're pretty excited about doing that.
Oh man, that's.
But when you said
go ahead.
It's just all those little things. Like I want to play it in an arcade machine. I would totally geek out on. So.
Yeah. Dude, man, you got the right fucking ideas, man. The right moves. That Jesus Christ, that's fucking awesome. I couldn't even imagine that, and like being in your position, the guy developing this, and with you could tell, you can hear the passion and adoration you have for this type of stuff, man. To see it come to fruition is fucking amazing. It's fucking nuts, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff, like you hit the nail on the head. It's like the stuff we loved as kids. Now we have a little bit of money to pursue it a little more.
Yeah.
I'm like. I just like.
What's your basement look like?
Growing up,
chock full of awesome shit.
I just couldn't, make my own arcade machine. I did that a couple of years ago. Me and a buddy of mine, we cut the wood out of MDF, and built like a main machine. Now I'm on my third one, and now me and Stevie are gonna to build two more. So, it's just a lot of cool stuff. And today, it's a good time to be alive.
Yeah, for sure, man. It really is, just with everything that's out there now and the way technology is. And it's so weird how interactive people are with all these mediums that, like, even maybe 20 years ago, it was like, well, if you're a comic book nerd, it's like, you kind of still had to stay in the closet or, shit like that. Yeah. No, it's like, dude, geekdom and nerddom, however you want to fucking say that, is taking. It is. And it was never a bad thing, because what's so bad about being entertained? No one ever said like, oh, hey, you football guy, like, what the hell? If you enjoy football, that's fucking great. I enjoy it, whatever. But I also like going in my room and fucking playing with my goddamn Spider-Man figures. Fuck you.
I think it's great in this time that you could find, because of the internet, because of exposure with other people, that if you have something you like, you can definitely find thousands of other people that are into the same thing, whatever that might be. And the other thing that's cool is if you're a creative type and you have like hats off to you, because you're not waiting for, oh man, is Acclaim going to come out with something that has every feature that I want, or every person that I want, or every move, or, you actually were like, no, you know what? I have a skill set. I know other people that might have, they could fill the holes where in my skill set I don't have those same things, and together we're going to build a game that I want to play.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's going to be other people and customers that will support me, but you're not waiting for, you're not waiting for someone else to do it. I think it's awesome that you're doing it, and the rest of us that are interested in the thing that you're interested in, which is a badass 2D wrestling game. We get to, like, I don't have to do any work. When it comes out in spring, I'm going to buy a copy.
I'm buying it.
So it's awesome, and it's something that you wanted to do. So my hat's off, because you didn't wait. You're doing the thing, and we celebrate that. That's part of what we do too. Like if there's something that we want to do, like Wallace and I both have that kind of spirit. Is that I don't want to wait for if I know I can kind of do something, I'm gonna do it myself. I don't want to wait for somebody else.
Yeah.
But there still are so many awesome and creative people out there, and then like your group and the game, and I mean, who knows where this could stem from? Like, if you're an idea guy, who knows how many other awesome ideas or where or how the game can evolve once it's out. It's super exciting.
Yeah, we already got a couple other ideas that I'm hoping this, this is successful, because in addition to supporting this in the future, I got a couple other retro ideas I would love to play.
You're going to be a new Super 7 of video games. Mark my words.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love this stuff. It's a lot of fun working on it, learning. There's headaches too, but just with anything. But for the most part, it's been great. And it makes you, every little comment you hear, even you guys saying it's, pumping my ego up a little bit, but it's motivating. Every little comment you get on YouTube video or a Twitter, it helps.
It does.
Get a person motivated and get you over that.
Those
one
fluffers work.
Says, we don't like your roster or whatever. And then you get 10 other people saying, this is awesome. Johnny Retro, love the name. It's like you get that stuff, and it makes you want to try that much harder to prove the naysayers wrong.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm doing it. But it's just an additional motivating factor.
It's you enjoying. I mean, here's the thing, and there's not enough positive. It's not like you're putting out some shits either. You're doing something that is. I mean, this has so much potential. And it's. People can't hate on it. I mean, they can, because that's the world, like you said, that we live in. Right. It's so negative. But you just got to get past that shit. And, I've never been a huge John Cena fan, like as a wrestler or anything. But I'll tell you what, if you find that guy on Twitter and follow him, dude, he's got a lot of great positive shit. Like that just kind of gets you like pumped in the morning if you read it. Like no one else is going to go out there and do it. But don't pay attention to any of the bullshit. Brush it off and work your ass off to do what you want to do. Because in the end, it will be rewarding. But like shit like that, that's what we need more of. We need more people like you that are like, hey man, like I'm doing this thing. Like I want to, talk about it with you guys and share it with the world. Like, as opposed to people are just like, yeah, fuck you. Who are you guys? Like, what the hell is that? Can't we all just get along?
Right.
That part's easy. We're not us in the circles that we try to build around here and around all of us. We try to. We're not embarrassed to like stuff. I like to like things, and I like to talk about the things I like.
I like what you like.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, why? I don't get in my car and listen to podcasts or watch a YouTube video or listen to music that I don't like. Mm-hmm. I always go to stuff that's like that I enjoy. I don't turn on the TV, or I don't look for the things that I dislike. Mm-hmm. I look for the things that I enjoy, and I like to talk about those things. I feel bad for people
Striper and Whitesnake.
Yes.
Well,
you guys said Striper and Whitesnake, and I was too embarrassed to. I'm wearing a shirt. My undershirt is a Striper Whitesnake tour T-shirt from back in the day when they did one small tour together.
I was just talking. Shout out to my boy Zach Gasia, who's in their old band Morrison Disciples. He was over during the weekend on Saturday for his birthday. And he had this old, I'm trying to think, it was a BC Rich model guitar, the one Chuck Schuldiner from Death played. It was a custom model. It was like $2,500 guitar or whatever. He ends up selling it. He has it on eBay, and like one of the guys that hit him up, I think it was a guy from either Slaughter or Striper, the guitarist, that hit him up. And he's like, come here, look at this shit. Like, look at this. Like, oh my God, no way, dude. Like, I think I don't know if it was exactly him who bought it. Somebody ended up buying it, but it was just, it's a good, funny story for you 80s Christian metal lovers out there.
I was a big POD fan. Aren't they like Christian rock rap?
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
We get Seinfeld on your ass.
No, man. Like,
Southtown kids don't play.
I'm beating a dead horse, but like I like Dave Matthews just the same as I like Pantera, just the same as I like shitty kung fu movies.
Oh, I love shitty kung fu. Samurai Sunday was my
absolutely.
Shit. What about you, Mike?
I was into that. Channel 48.
Yeah. Mike, you're my fucking boy.
was the kung fu, and it was on after wrestling actually.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, those were the days, dude. Like all that shit. I miss all that, and like going. It's cool now because we got money, being older, and we work. But You know, the innocence he had as a kid, the irresponsibility, you know, just go do whatever you want as long as you weren't getting in noticeable trouble. I love all that shit, man. There's so much cool shit from our childhood, you know, as far as it pertains to movies or television or comic books, you know.
I did have one question about the game. And I know you always say not to cut you off, but
cut me off.
I absolutely mean to cut you off. And every time I cut people off,
ow,
why
is my throat bleeding?
I wanted to ask because I don't know any of the information, and I apologize about the music in the game. What are you guys doing about the music?
Question.
What's the plan? Can you talk a little bit about the music?
Yeah, so we have a composer on board and a sound engineer on board for doing. It's all custom music that's kind of fits the characters, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
So we looked into licensing music, and it was just going to be too cost prohibitive where we're at right now.
Jim Johnston is a free agent.
What's that?
Jim Johnston. Remember, he did everybody's theme song from WWE. He don't work there no more.
There's an idea.
There you go. Anyways, sorry.
But Jimmy Hart wrote a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart did a lot. He did the American Made Hulk Hogan,
didn't he? Yeah,
and American Males.
But yeah, we have a composer who's doing all custom music for it. And we have we're gonna have commentary in the game as well as far as sound, not necessarily music, but it's kind of gonna be a little bit NBA jamish.
I was about to ask.
Oh, dude, I love that. The nail in the coffin.
Right. So, and we're gonna announce our team probably in the next couple weeks.
Sweet. Man.
But yeah, all custom music. Although we might get the BWO thing.
Oh.
I think we're talking to Mimi about licensing that. So
sweet. You guys should totally put out like a little 7-inch too. I'm just giving you ideas of ways to make more money with the product. Like a little 7-inch of the game music and shit. I think it'd be fucking dope.
There's like a couple of those games.
They'll definitely have to do at least a soundtrack.
Yeah. Have you watched or you aware of Hotline Miami? They got 1 and 2, but Hotline Miami is like a the top-down game.
Yeah, I know. I haven't played it, but I've seen videos on it. It's on my list of along with, as you guys said, 100 other games.
Yeah. It's actually got
I love the art style of it.
Yeah, the art style is very cool. It's unique, but not that. It's like unique but simple.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a really cool soundtrack. So when you go to buy the game, it's one of those games that.
Yeah.
You can buy the different, versions. There's 2 of them now, but I know you could buy like the regular, the deluxe, but then they will sell you just the soundtrack, or you can just go to YouTube and listen to it. But it's it's got its own catchy like video game kind of. It's pretty cool.
There's
a lot of those.
I remember back in the day. What was it? Well, not back. It wasn't that long ago. Call of Duty. Which was it? The one where they were in space. So like 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember. Some Infinite Warfare. And they had the zombies on there was dope. You had like Kevin Smith had like the 90s raver in the woods atmosphere. You had the 80s space theme park, and David Hasselhoff was the DJ, and they were spinning legit tracks, dude. And they released a vinyl for that.
Did it take place in Germany?
No. What was that? What was that movie? It was like a 20-minute movie that he did a music video for. It came out a couple years ago. It's on YouTube. There was like dinosaurs and Nazis and Kung Fury. Kung
Fury. Yeah. That movie's great.
You familiar with that, Mike?
The Hoff.
Yeah. The Hoff.
I have not. I have to look that one up.
Kung Fury. It is ridiculous.
You can watch it
for
free. It's a 20-minute movie. You will laugh your fucking ass off. And it's got all that. It looks like you're watching a legit 80s VHS cassette tape, man. And it's just so over the top. Like I said, dinosaurs, Kung Fu, Nazis, 80s. It's all there, man. It's like all this crazy shit.
I think Thor is in it.
Yeah. There's Thor is in it too. Like what? Oh man, just wrapping it all up into one ball and saying, "Take it, take my money." Let me ask you this, Mike. Have you guys thought about mobile gaming at all?
So the engine we're writing it in actually supports it, so we could pretty easily port it. My concern with it is the controls and not having a controller.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well it would translate. Like I played, or tried playing that X-Men. They released the X-Men arcade game on Android a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah, you could download it in the Android store or the Google store,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't. It's tough to any game. Like, did you try playing Street Fighter on mobile?
Ooh, no.
I mean, that would be harder than RetroMania, but.
Well, when we were talking
like
the other day, remember we were talking about Apple did the WrestleFest port when WWE, and it was like, eh.
It just sucks not having.
I bought it and it
controller.
sat there.
Yeah, I feel like without a controller, stuff. But maybe if there's a demand for it, if we can see a demand for it. I mean, I wouldn't be completely against doing it.
Nice.
But I don't know how well it would translate with the touchpad or using touch controls.
It's just an idea.
And I just want to make sure, we get a core audience is going to be someone holding a controller. Either on a PC, on a Switch, on an Xbox, and hopefully a PS4.
Mike, what's it going to take to get you on the PS4? I mean, what can people out there listening, is there anything they can do to help you out? Or
tweet at Sony. But I'm pretty confident we're going to get it at this point. I think it's just a matter of getting through their
formalities.
Process. But one of the things is typically, it takes a little longer for not first-time developers that don't have publishers to get approved.
Oh, yeah.
On any platform. And so that's why it's kind of a big deal, and we're treating each one as a big deal, because when we first got into it, we weren't sure we were going to get any approval besides, you don't need approval to go on the PC. You can just make a PC game. But
exactly.
When I went online and was doing research, I found it, some people said it was really tough to get approved if you're a first-time developer and you don't have a publisher behind you. So, and I didn't really want a publisher, just because I don't, again, it's kind of a control freak in me.
Yeah, it's your baby, man.
That, and I just don't want to be stressed out. Like, honestly, we're doing our best to hit our date. We're doing everything we can, but I'm not making people work 60 hours a week to do it. You know what I mean? It's that's not the way kind of company. That's not the way I run things. But right now we're on target for first quarter. But if something comes up and the game's not ready, I'm not going to rush out something that's buggy and then get all the bad publicity behind that goes with that, and then fix it later. I want it to be playable and not have to patch it, day one.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of big name games that
you think now.
Oh yeah, I watch it. I'm maybe one of the few guys, when I go and look at games in the Xbox in the store, I look at the reviews. I love looking at them because I really do base my opinion on my decision, I should say, on buying this game. Hey man, how many, first thing I look at, how many stars did it get? If it, and whether it goes either way, I go down, I have to look and I have to see why. And people are, for the most part, in that shit, they're pretty damn honest and spot on. It's really no like fluff or bullshit like there is like internet, like just people trying to shit on stuff. Like they're genuine, and it's pretty good to base your decision off a lot of that once you kind of get enough of it informed. Like, okay, because that, like going back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, how I used to be just buying the game and it just sitting there, or I'd buy a game off of looks or a certain brand, and it would just be the shits. And it's like, God, I bought this fucking game. So I really do like that. And you can watch the reviews, and not only that, the game, I love the aspect about, I don't play PS4, I'm assuming it's the same. But for Xbox, people record game clips. I could see the gameplay. I could kind of form my own opinion. Oh, well, yeah, I could see what this guy's talking about. Like, it's probably ain't worth my time or money to buy,
Right.
But my point is, there are a lot of games coming out now where people are, for instance, one of them was a Power Rangers game. It was a fighter that looked pretty badass.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like all of the Power Rangers from like every single generation of Power Rangers. And it looked like a cool fighting game, but a lot of people were like, oh, there's all these bugs and glitches and this and that. And, fuck that. Like, hammer that shit out. You don't.
Right.
I don't know how the business aspect goes. So forgive me if I sound ignorant in that when I say, fuck the date. because if maybe it's you got a studio behind you and you have to have that contractually, I get that. But it's like, come on, invest it like what you guys are trying to do. Invest time in that game and hammer out as much as you can, and then go from there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, part of it when you're dealing with a company, right, you need to start, at some point, you need to start bringing revenue in, so they're trying to really push that date.
Right,
and then you
right.
do have a marketing campaign, right,
Yep.
that's built around launching at a specific time frame. Like, we're doing releases of wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, spread out from now, because we have a couple other guys signed already that we haven't released yet, and we're spreading them out to build interest in the game, right, and to have something people to look forward to.
Care to
We've been
drop
doing
any
a
hints?
contest every time we win. What's that?
I said, care to drop any hints?
They are wrestlers.
I knew you were going to say that too. God damn it.
Professionally. They're not amateur wrestlers.
So that was
They're
you on
professional
Twitter.
wrestlers.
It's like, can you give us a hint or something? Like, they're pro wrestlers. I was like, all right.
That actually wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was the guy that helps me. Another Mike. But
He's a I'm a mark for
I
Mike's.
did like his response. But yeah, you know, and so you have marketing considerations to make, and stuff like that. But you know, in the end of the day, I don't think it's worth releasing a poor game, because our whole thing is going to be built off is if our game is fun, people will support it, and I really believe that. I think people would give us a little leeway if we delayed a little bit if the game was complete and fun when it came out. You know what I mean? So, at least that, you know, that's my assumption. Hopefully I'll be proven right. Well, hopefully I don't have to prove it at all, because we'll make our date. But, so we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Mike. I like to thank you for coming on the show and discussing your game with us. You know, there's an open door anytime you want to come on and promote, whether it's something to do with your game or just come on and bullshit with wrestling, because there's a lot of stuff I think we need to touch on with you as far as like just pop culture, whether it's video games or comics or any of that stuff. I'd really like to get into some depth on that subject matter with you sometime.
Absolutely. That sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah, it's a blast, man. Just kick back, maybe have a couple of cold ones and, you know, enjoy, have fun. I like to keep it real here.
Definitely.
I want to also keep it real by having you inform the people where they can find you, your studio, and your game at.
All right, we're at RetroManiaWrestling.com. All of our links are there, but we're basically at RetroSoft Studio on Twitter, and then at RetroSoft Studios on Instagram and Facebook. So, and it's right now, we're hearing this at October 2nd. We are running a giveaway now for some Johnny Retro merchandise courtesy of ProWrestlingTees.com.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna have 3 winners. Some merch from Pro Wrestling Tees, who is one of our sponsors, and or partners, I should say, not sponsors. One of our partners.
That's up by us.
And yeah, so just follow us. If you follow us on any social media, you're entered to win.
Well, and you guys are giving the Xbox giveaways today, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yes, we're announcing that. We might have done it. I'm not sure if we announced it yet. We're announcing that.
Time travel's a weird fucking thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we do it.
We're announcing that in the next probably couple of minutes here, and in real time. So it'll be given away when this airs.
Give it away now.
But yeah, assuming we get that PS4 approval, you damn sure will be giving one of those away too.
Nice. And you guys already did one for the Switch, right?
Yep, we gave away a Switch Lite when that came out, and this is the Xbox, and we'll hit up the PS4 assuming we get the approval on that.
Hell yeah. Well, Mike, I don't know about you, but I had an awesome time talking to you, man. This was fucking great. We're going to have to do this again real soon. I'd like to thank everybody out there for listening, all our new subscribers and listeners. You guys are the shit. Be sure you guys check out this video game when it drops in the spring, and follow RetroSoft Studios on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow Juice Pro Wrestling there. We're everywhere. You guys tell your friends about the show. You know, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on all that. Anywhere people find podcasts, YouTube, we're there. so you can hear all of our good shit, all the stories from all of our fabulous guests. Yeah, like Mike, who's the man. And yeah, there's one more thing we got to do before we go. Well, wait, you got to call the voicemail at 1-872-267-4199. Yeah, it's like the Mean Gene hotline, but with Tom Lounges. What the fuck? But yeah, follow us, join us, have fun with us, interact with us, because at the end of the day, that's what life's all about, is fun. You know, don't be so serious all the time. What's your problem? And you also got to wet 'em up. Wet 'em up. Wet 'em up. Wet 'em up. Yeah! RetroSoft Studios gets me so wet. You gonna do sex to me?